opportunity. I started the work on the physiology of wounds, which of course hadn't even been considered before. When I finished my surgical training, I had a fellowship from the government Science Foundation and to study hyperbaric oxygen. It was highly controversial at the time, and when I arrived in Glasgow and went for a cup of tea to meet my fellow faculty members, they were curious as to what I was going to do. And I said I was going to study hyperbaric oxygen to see if the oxygen actually enters the tissues, and if so, how much, and so forth. And he said in his Scottish accent, well, you'll not stay here too long. It doesn't work. And I turned around and proved, in fact, the basic data that it does, in fact, work. And to have my son actually need it and use it has been an interesting and very rewarding cycle. So no, I've been happy with what I did.
TK, first of all, is just such an outstanding individual, and he is somebody who has always been so wonderful to mentor junior colleagues and or people, whether they were in his lab or not. He has always been somebody who has reached out especially to women in the field to help them move forward. And so when I first became involved with the foundation, and the society, I came to know Tom Hunt, and he was one of, even though I was never a postdoc in his lab, but because I was one of the few women involved with the society and with the foundation at that time, he really reached out to me and helped me be a part of the whole organization and made sure that I was included and helped me to make sure I was positioned to serve.
A few years back, I was on a panel at Ohio State Wound Healing Conference, and there were like 6 or 7 of us on the panel, and they asked us to go down the line and introduce ourselves, and it was for people from all over the world. And every single person going down the line said, "Hi, I'm so-and-so, and I did a fellowship with TK Hunt." Until we got to Luisa DiPietro at the end, and she said, "I'm Luisa DiPietro, and I guess I should have done a fellowship with TK Hunt." So when you look around the world, you just see that influence that he's had.
He is important. He will be important forever. He is a guiding light for most of today's wound healing research leaders, clinical leaders throughout the world, and the impact he has brought to the field, both directly as well as indirectly, far exceed any other leader I know in this field. So it is quite a footprint that he's leaving, and it is our responsibility now to utilize that as a resource and inspire the younger generation. He's all about mentoring people and taking them to heights and empowering youngsters to achieve their dream and vision. And I hope we all can support that mission. If we can do that successfully, this field will be very rich.
I dealt very heavily with young surgeons. One of the things that was fun was to inculcate grounding that allows them to reach understanding from observations that are beyond just doing surgery. You can't change the hard work that's necessary, but what you can change is the satisfaction you get from discovery. And I hope I've shown that to them. They saw me tired, but they also saw the commitment to creativity. And I hope that's what I passed on to them, even though they may not be wound healers. And that's a big deal. And it's important to show by example, I think. Isn't that great? Wow, we got the data finally. Isn't that great? Now here's where we have to go next. I've been happy with a career in wounds. It's kind of a rare occurrence, I think, to be a part of the original effort and see it without too much in the background that made any sense considering the state of science when I started. I would have liked to go further because there's a relationship developing now between cancer and wound healing. When I get to this meeting, it's a pleasure to be able to react and receive. It gives me a sense of purpose. I always want to be important, you know. And
the work that was done by Dr. Hunt has been a really source of inspiration for a lot.
It was wonderful at the Hunt lecture this year that he's sitting in the front row, and then he gets up and asks a question. And it's a question that totally was pertinent, was something tied it all into the wound healing world, and what a great thing to be still so interested that you can ask deep and penetrating questions.
It is not uncommon for TK to move around and try to find folks that he thinks is relevant to the scientific questions he's asking. And in particular, I was interested in some of the basic aspects of how oxygen functions, and TK has been the world leader in the area of the role of oxygen in wound healing. And he recruited me to work as a part of his group. And we together wrote a proposal, which then got funded in 1999. And ever since, my career has turned in a big way towards the wound healing problem. So this has been a remarkable, on the scientific side. On the personal side, there are very few humans, of honor, dignity, love, and care that, can, excel TK. And it is quite a fortune to be a part of that TK family. And when I mean family, I really mean that. And, this journey has continued for the last 2+ decades, and even today I inspire my mentees by the legacy of TK.